BBFCU, a place for all of us.
Most of us probably pull into the garage at the end of every day, simply park the car, grab the stuff out of it, and head in the house and get on with supper making and that type of thing. But if you have a chance to look down at your garage floor and you don't like what you see, you are not stuck with it, because Brian Brock is here back on the show with Orange Rhino. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
First of all, I think it was Emerson who said beauty is its own reason for being. So even if you do intend simply to park the car in the garage and go in and make supper, no reason the garage floor can't be pretty, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for most people, the garage is the largest space in your home, and it's an area that you're in and out of every day, usually multiple times a day.
That's an interesting thing to hear you say, that the garage is the largest part of your home, but it makes sense, obviously. It's just that we tend to get ours all so cluttered, you forget how big it is. So this all kind of came about, didn't it, Brian? Because during COVID, people were using their space more and more to make it an additional part of their home. And with Orange Rhino, you can keep it that way and make it look nice.
Absolutely. You know, we have customers that, you know, first and foremost, just want a better looking garage, and that starts with the floor. The second thing is, a lot of people work out in their garage, you know, whether it's CrossFit or using a Peloton or whatever. A lot of people use that large space as a workout area. So, you know, making that floor nice and clean and smooth is a great way to transform the space as well.
Sometimes you're looking for a practical reason for doing this, and from what I remember from previous conversations, there's a safety component to this, because the floor is not as slippery, right?
Well, that's true. So, you know, if you look at regular concrete, it's very smooth, typically in the garage space. And the coating that we put on has an additive in it. We actually call it Gator Bite. And it makes the floor less slippery. The other thing too is the floor that we put on is non-porous, and so since it's non-porous, that means if there's any spills or things that typically stain concrete that make its way on the floor, it's easy to clean. So you can keep your garage floor looking great by adding this coating to it.
So, and once you've done this, the longevity of it is pretty impressive, right? It lasts for how long?
Absolutely. It's meant to last a lifetime. We offer a 15-year guarantee on the material. And what's great about our products, so I think a lot of people, when you think about the garage space, they think of the term epoxy.
Yeah. And
epoxy is a great product for an indoor climate controlled application. Well, when you talk about the garage, most people don't heat and cool their garage, and your door is open and closed a lot. You've got large doors in and out of it.
Right.
And so the problem with epoxies is they tend to harden over top of the concrete substrate.
Right.
And then when that concrete expands and contracts, like we know, it cracks. Well, then that crack will go through the epoxy as well, and epoxy has a tendency to flake and chip over a little bit of time.
Okay.
Also, the heat of tires affects it greatly. The product we use is a material called polyurea, and so it goes on as a base coat, and it is 15 times more flexible than epoxy. And what that means is that when you adhere it to the concrete, it actually seeps into the pores of the concrete, and then it's very flexible. So as that concrete expands and contracts, our coating goes and expands and contracts with it.
it kind of becomes one with the floor.
Yes, and so what that means is you don't have to deal with cracks and ugly spots and those kind of things. So it's a great looking floor for years to come.
That makes so much sense to me. Now, something else that you are doing a lot of also are front porches.
Yes.
So if you've got, whether it's just kind of a boring front porch and you want to give it some life, or if you have an old craftsman home with a beautiful swing out front and you want to give it its own sense of welcoming in, you can create wonders there too.
Oh, absolutely. Front porches have been really popular, and it's a great way to accent, you know, the part of your home where you welcome guests.
So how much do you play engineer, if you will, the practicality of the floor combined with interior decorator? Because you can create kind of any look, right, that a person wants?
Yeah, we have, I think it's 14 colors to choose from. I keep 8 of them in stock. So one of the cool things is unlike a lot of home improvement projects, we're a project that can get to you pretty quickly. In other words, you can call our office today, you can get an estimate either by the end of the week or first of next week, and we can be installing your floor within a couple of weeks.
And it doesn't take long once you're there.
In most cases, we can do a garage in 1 day.
What? And then how long before you can pull the cars back in?
Just a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, it cures where you can walk on it overnight. So when we finish the job at the end of the day, we leave your garage door cracked a little bit so air can flow and the top coat can cure. By the next morning, you can walk on it, you can start moving your items back in the garage, and by the following day, you can pull your car in on it.
And I guess, I mean, assuming that it's, there's a covering overhead, which a garage, of course, would have, a front porch probably would, the weather does not matter that much, right? Because you're indoors in the rain?
That's right. As far as the installation process, yeah, it's not as weather dependent as an exterior project. As far as the longevity of the product, though, in an exterior space like a front porch, it's 100% UV stable, and it's, you know, from a moisture standpoint, you don't have to worry about water messing it up. So an exterior surface like a front porch, the product goes great on it.
Do you find that home buyers are looking for this, so it's a good improvement to your house for a future sale? Oh,
absolutely, because, you know, people say the difference is in the details.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a detail that you can add to your home to just give it a much sharper look by doing something very simple.
I'm loving watching the guy just throw out those decorative chips, but if you want to give your floor a pattern to it, can you do that, or does it just have to be a solid?
So the product we offer is called the Evolution System, and it is a flake system. So the way it goes on, and I think you've been showing the video, is the first thing we do is we profile the floor, meaning we take a grinder and we take the concrete down to its original state where it's porous. Then we apply a base coat. And the base coat is that material that bleeds into the floor, that's very flexible, that then gives us a base to where we can put the flakes. The flakes are comprised of multiple colors. So I think that video was using a color called slate stone.
I see.
That had bits of blue, bits of white, bits of gray. And so there's multiple colors, and it's vinyl chip that we spread all over the floor. And then we go through and scrape it to give it an even finish. And then once we do that, we apply the top coat. And so if you compare this to a DIY, do-it-yourself project, well, you know, you buy the little kit at, you know, one of your big box stores, and you're going around and you're looking for places to sprinkle the chip, and you don't get adequate coverage. Well, with us, in a typical garage, we take 80 pounds of this stuff.
Lot,
they come in 40-pound boxes. We put it in a 5-gallon bucket and we spread it all over the floor. And what that means is you get great coverage, and so the finish and the look of the floor is outstanding once we're done with it.
I would bet you one of the unexpected benefits when people do this in their garage that they aren't banking on is that they keep their cars clean.
You know what? I have a friend that had it done, and he said, you know what? We keep our garage so clean now.
I bet so.
Because you take pride in things you take care of, and it's a great way to take care of your garage.
Maybe we should have the kitchen floor done that way too.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's how you can get in touch with him. It's Brian Brockett of Orange Rhino. Their office is over on Eastgate Loop. The phone number is 654-7715. Online, it's goorangerhino.com. Call today. They could be at your house by early week. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
We all know when something feels just right. It's the smallest victory, or simply a moment of peace. It's what feels good.